Hi guys, Brent here, and welcome to a different kind of video today. Today we're going to be talking about all the stuff that came out yesterday. Anniversary content is just basically what I'm going to be referring to as a lump sum, but there's a lot of stuff coming out immediately after the anniversary and some updates. The 8-year roadmap has been also leaked as well. Some of this behavior went up and released themselves, like the trailer you're seeing in the background for the new chapter. But also some of it they kept to themselves. So some of this is leaked, some of this is stuff that behavior is officially released, and I'll be rolling that up in the background while we talk about it. So, first impressions of the anniversary chapter itself. It is conceptually very cool. It gives me very much No Man's Sky vibes. That's a game I played a lot, especially after they fixed up a lot of the things. So the big thing that I always found strange about the entity is the fact that it could reach across all dimensions and time, but preoccupantly always seems, just obsessed with either present time, present day, or the past. It never really seems to go into the future, and it finally seems they're going to be doing something with that. It looks pretty interesting. Like I said, it's a little bit more, not really like our future, but kind of like a distant like a distant future or just a whole different dimension entirely, which is fine because that's how the entity gets people into its realm, is it goes across multiple dimensions where the IPs that we like in our realm, which are just fictional, are actually real in their dimensions. So that's not weird to me. The only thing being is that obviously this is an original chapter, and the last two original chapters were very they were something, and I would not use positive adjectives to describe both the Knight and the Skull Merchants chapters, so that's a little worrisome. That's a little strange. It's one of those things where we have to kind of wait until we get onto the PTB itself and see how they play. Is this cool designed monster? It's just going to be another one of those 3-gen defending monsters that are killers that's really boring and unfun. Hopefully they are, hopefully not. There are leaks for the killer's power, but I don't know if those are accurate or not, so I'm not going to show those, but those do exist as leaks as well. It has apparently something to do with like portals and like demo where you can use them, set it, or seal them and stuff like that. But that is something that I can't prove, so I'm not going to like show that up here. But you can look it up on your own if you're interested and you believe that would be the truth. But it might be another frustrating killer to face. Maybe not even that fun to play. It's with an original chapter, you can't. The quality is always very like, what's the word? Up in the air. You never know how it's going to land. So it's something that's kind of just, I think it's weird in general that they chose to go with a original chapter for the anniversary again. I think one of the ways that they can build a lot of hype and excitement for an anniversary is by having an IP. Don't know if a bunch of stuff just kind of like fell through or what happened, but that obviously would have been way more exciting, because currently I just have to wait for the PTB to see if I'm excited for this or not. So yeah, that's about how I feel about it. All right, so getting into this thing, not for the anniversary chapter itself, but after the anniversary chapter, there will be a standalone chapter, kind of like Michaela, who released by herself, which will just be the illustrious Nick Cage. No, not Nick Cage playing a person or playing a character. It's just actually the actor, Nick Cage. That's it. It's literally just Nicolas Cage, the person in Dead by Daylight, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. I find this incredibly bizarre and weird, and I don't really understand why we're throwing just like a straight up actor, just like a normal, just like a real life person into the game that's a celebrity. I find that kind of strange. I know there's a lot of memes and stuff behind Nicolas Cage, and that's why people are like, haha, that's funny, but like contextually it doesn't really, I don't know, it's just strange. It doesn't really make sense to me. It seems like really out of left field. A lot of other people have said, well, he's been in horror movies before, so it makes sense. It's like he hasn't been in that much, and much less anything like completely notable, like something that maybe like Heather Langenkamp or Jamie Lee Curtis could be in the game for, because they are in franchises that really changed the game. Very important. That Nicolas Cage has been in some movies that are okay or all right and aren't like, they didn't shape the genre or anything. So even that's interesting. And a few people feel really passionately about this. I'm filming this the day after I streamed, where all this stuff came out, and a lot of people are very like passionately trying to get me to change my mind about me just being weird about it. Not even hating it, but just finding it really strange. And we're very aggressive about trying to get me to change my mind, and it seems like, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't seem like it fits. It feels really weird. If it comes out later that like, hey, maybe he's like, playing somebody in the DVD movie and they don't want to like let that go yet, that he's actually signed on for the movie, or maybe they're still working on a deal for him to work in the movie or something. I don't know. If it comes out something like that and he becomes a character, I think it's gonna make a lot more sense. I think then I do whatever. That's fine. But just putting a straight up actor from real life just in the game without any context at all is just kind of like, it feels like they're this didn't occur to me until this moment. It feels like they're trying to kind of get on that, like, that Fortnite kind of like feeling of just like, oh, just put something really wacky and zany in the game just to push sales. Let's just slap this thing in here and just move those numbers so we can keep, making the money here, which is obviously what businesses are meant to do, which is somebody will always remind me in the comments. It's like, well, that's what businesses are for. But like, I feel like the thing with like Fortnite is clearly a completely non-serious, completely just anything goes, like, wacky, like Zane Fest. Like, it's clearly nothing. It doesn't try to do things like, build lore with like the entity, how people are taken into the entity's realm, how the lore of like the characters like Blight, Evan, Billy, that gets really in depth. Like this game does have like an atmosphere and a feel that it's trying to push that's not supposed to be just kind of like screw it whatever, kind of like Fortnite is, where it's like Fortnite is very much a game that's just made to be a video game, and it's not something you need to like invest your brain in. You turn on, you play it, and you call it a day, right? Like, it's not like Dead by Daylight, where you can actually get into the lore, get into certain characters' backstories and stuff like that, where it's a little bit more of a serious situation. I've also heard that like people argue about this is like, well, Attack on Titan didn't fit either. And I don't understand that, because Attack on Titan, if you've ever watched it or read the manga, it's very much a like, it's not a horror anime, but it's very like, it's tons of body horror, very horrifying, and it may not be a horror anime itself, but the horror themes are extremely strong in it. So I don't think that's crazy. And also, people are like, well, Trickster was a K-pop star. I'm like, are we still on this? You're here like what, 2-3 years later after that character came out? And you're like, well, there's a K-pop man in the game. It's like, Trickster has more to do with the Joker than he does with a K-pop star, which is a good thing, because the Joker in certain iterations is very terrifying. Very terrifying. Like, he's literally like using, like, splicing together the screams of his victims as he murders them to make music. And he's very sadistic and very just completely lacking empathy to any extent. He actually has he's an original character, and he has really good lore. So I don't know where that comparison comes from, that, oh, well, we have a K-pop man, so of course we can have Nicolas Cage. Like, it's just, there was a lot of like leaps and bounds I dealt with today. Like, I was just kind of casually like, oh, well, I don't really think it fits, but it's whatever. Like, but people really fought tooth and nail to prove that Nicolas Cage is like belongs, and it was just like really weird. And clearly he doesn't fit. Just the bottom line, he clearly doesn't fit. He clearly doesn't fit in Dead by Daylight. Just plucking an actor and just shoving him in with no lore, no character, no anything, just going, there you go. That's weird. It's odd, and it's not normal. It does not fit the game, but either you're for that, either like, screw it, who cares, or you're like, you're into it. Don't try to convince me that it fits somehow, because it definitely doesn't. Now we have our 8-year roadmap, which has been leaked. Obviously, we have the anniversary chapter, which is coming, and then we have the new Survivor, which is homie Nick Cage, for whatever reason. And we have the roadmap for the rest of that stuff, which is pretty standard. The things you want to look at here, we know it's blurry, I will explain it to you, because even the image itself is blurry, is they're going to keep working on reworking metas, which is good. Obviously, the meta of DBD, despite how you feel about it being entertaining or not entertaining, is, going towards a good place. The game is getting more balanced, so they're going to keep doing that. Map balancing, very important, very good, because realistically, most of DBD is, like I just said, moving towards a more balanced place. One of the only things that really stands out is some of the map combinations that can happen, both for and against Killer, can be pretty brutal. And anti-camping is something they're continuing to try and figure out a solution for. I'm very interested to see how they do this. Because it's, like I've said in many videos before, camping is a good tool against a really, really good team that may not even necessarily be playing well, but just out-perked you, brought more perks than you did, playing sweater you are. And camping is one of your tools you use to catch up, but some people just decide to camp at the get-go, and then you're at the mercy of your randoms to try and, like, solve that situation, and they may not be able to. and that's pretty frustrating. So how do you get this median of people who are using it as a catch-up tool, and that's okay, and versus people who, you know, do it at 5 gens and just prey on randoms to screw up, which they, you know, you play the video game, you know, they often do. So striking that balance, we'll see how they do that. The cool stuff is the quality of life improvements, which I'm very excited for. Finally, there's going to be a search bar. It's finally going to be a search bar, so you can look up perks, items, add-ons, that sort of thing, without having to scroll through and look through things alphabetically. And it gets even more nightmarish if you don't have all your perks of one level. So you have some green, some yellow. So even though it's alphabetical, you don't know what perk you had green, or if you had it yellow, or if you had it purple, and it gets fairly annoying. So it's good that they have that. The thing I'm excited for, I looked at it, I was like, that sounds pretty cool. That's something I never knew I wanted, was player cards. Like I talked about in the cosmetic paradox video that I released this week, customization is a very, very cool and important part of gaming in general, and also Dead by Daylight. So having player cards that we could also customize and bring personality to the game, that sounds super fun. It actually sounds like a fun, super cool time. So actually, out of all of those, I'm actually most excited for this, because I feel like that's just a neat little thing that just sounds cool. Another big thing, Survivor disconnect bots. So if somebody DCs, there will actually be a bot that comes in and steps into place, so it's not just like a permanent L just because somebody left the game. Now, obviously, people are pointing out 2 main problems with this. One, the bots better be at least moderately good. They got to be better than the ones that are just in the ones that you can summon in your custom games, because while those aren't terrible, they're certainly not good, and they're certainly not going to be able to fare well against actual human players, and that may feed a lot of perks like, you know, pain res or pop that, you know, function off of getting downs, because, you know, if the bot's an easy down, they can just farm their perk value. Also, people giving up on hook, you know, it doesn't really account for that. So if somebody just gives up on hook, and it's just like not a thing, you don't get the replacement bot. So that's another thing. But overall, a good thing it's better to have it than to not have it, even if you don't account for those issues. And player report feedback, which is something the game has had a problem with since its entire existence. They swear that the in-game report system works, but there's no feedback to know if it even does work. Most video game report systems have a, hey, we received your report, we acted on it. Like some sort of feedback to be like, okay, well, we got it, we read it, and we did something about it. But our game, Dead by Daylight, doesn't have anything like that. So there's really no way to tell if our reports are even being read or seen, or even if something's been acted upon because of our reports. So having something like that would probably be a good improvement, but you know, we will see. We'll see what they come up with. But yeah, that's basically my shorthand feelings about the anniversary leaks and all that wonderful stuff. It's interesting. We'll see what they do on Friday when they actually, or tomorrow when I post this. We'll see what they do tomorrow with the anniversary stream itself. Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll just see how that goes. I'm gonna reserve my judgment. I feel that's my main thing. If I had a TLDR for all this, I feel very up in the air. I don't know whether to be excited or to be, you know, worried. Like there's so much of this is just remains to be seen to me. Like there's a lot of stuff that's weird that could end up being fun or good, but realistically it could also be not fun and also bad. It's just kind of like I need more. So hopefully that stream tomorrow sheds some more light on that. And yeah, so that's how I feel about it. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about what you feel like about all the leaks and new stuff that came out yesterday concerning our future in DBD for year 8. Other than that, I'll see you when I see you, friends. Bye-bye.